it's important to recognize when you are at your best and to know that. And if you have to go to a meeting or something like that, when you're not at your best, to take some affirmative steps to mitigate some of the downdraft. So let's say that you, Scott, have to do a meeting at
2.
All right. So first of all, your organization should not be having important meetings at 2. You can have meetings about, unless there's a crisis, you're going to have meetings about like administrative stuff at 2. But in general, don't have meetings on important stuff at 2. But let's just say that word hasn't gotten out yet. So it's 2 o'clock. So here's what I would do, Scott. I would think hard in advance of that meeting. So maybe at 7:30 in the morning, as you anticipate that 2 o'clock meeting, in your office, sit down for 15 minutes, think about what you want to accomplish at that meeting, what, if anything, you need to say, what questions you might need to ask, what facts you might need to find, what commitments you might need to secure from the people there. Like very seriously, like write down that stuff. Like what are you trying to accomplish at that meeting? And then actually sort of fashion it into like a mini checklist. One of the things that has averted some of the problem with the time-based issues in medical care is checklists. Checklists are, Atul Gawande wrote a terrific book about this. It ends up being one of the remedies for some of the problems in hospitals. So make your checklist of what you need to accomplish during your peak time. That way, when you're in the meeting, you can rely on that and not have to rely on your hazy memory. The other thing that I would recommend that you do before that 2 o'clock meeting, Scott the Lark, is to take a walk around the block. You can take a walk outside. There's some great research on the restorative effects, replenishing effects of movement, of nature. Take a walk around the block. There's some good research on the restorative effects of doing a good deed for somebody. So take a walk around the block and come back and like bring a box of cookies for other people in the office or something like that. And so take those kinds of affirmative steps. Have your checklist and take a break, what we know to be a replenishing break right before that. That's the tactical answer. The other side of it is that I think that I put the onus more on leaders than on the individuals. Because, I think that what leaders have to do is be strategic about when they do things in an organization. And the leaders themselves have to recognize that all times are not created equal, that all people don't have the same kind of chronotype, that people are better at certain times of day. And at some level, I don't like how I recognize the reality of it, but part of me wants to push back. We always talk about when there's this mismatch between the individuals and the organization, we want to say, well, what can the individuals do to adapt? And for me, it's like, well, wait a second. Maybe some of that should be on the organization to be more adaptable itself and be more accommodating for the talented people who work there.